If I told you my story, you would hear love that never gave up.
And so the story I'm going to tell today is Lost. And it's about being lost and me being lost multiple times in my life. And so the first one I want to talk about is back when I was a kid. And you see, my family and I, we went to Six Flags. And I loved Six Flags. For those of you that don't know what Six Flags is, it's an amusement park, a roller coaster park. And I loved roller coasters. Now, how many of you have ever been on a roller coaster before? They're awesome. I love them so much. And you see, when we would go, my dad and I would go on the roller coaster rides, and my mom would wait at the bottom. And as soon as we would get off one ride, I would be ready to run to the next one. And we came off of one ride, and I got distracted. For those of you that don't know me, I'm somewhat easily distracted. I probably saw like a giant teddy bear, or a giant Winnie the Pooh, or one of those massive minions, or a shiny penny on the ground, or a churro. I love churros. But I got distracted. And when I looked up, I couldn't find my dad. You see, I looked left, right, forwards, backwards, and he was nowhere to be seen. I even looked down. I don't know why I looked down, as if, oh, hey, Mom and Dad, you found the secret Ninja Turtle tunnel. Nothing. I couldn't find them. And I realized I was lost. And so I start to freak out a little bit, but then I think, no, I grew up in the country. I'm scrappy. I can survive. I can survive in Six Flags. I will sneak into one of the food trailers after the sun goes down when this park starts to close. I'll survive on popcorn, slushies, and churros. I'll be good. I can survive. I've got this. I don't have this. I'm going to die in Six Flags. I'm lost. I lost my parents forever. My parents. My poor parents. They just lost their favorite child. And just as I'm about to lose my mind, I feel a hand on my shoulder. And I look up, my mom grabs my hand. She says, "Do you want to go to the next ride? Are you okay?" And I'm thinking, no, I'm not okay. You lost me. I was going to die here. But I said, yeah, I'm good. You see, the last couple chapels and for a few more, we've been talking about loyalty. And a parent, to be loyal to their child is their job. Loyalty in the parent's eyes is not losing their kid. It's not losing their child, it's protecting their child. It's knowing where they are, and it's being there for them to comfort them. My parents stayed true to that. You see, the whole time I thought I was lost, which was probably only about 30 seconds to a minute, felt like 2 hours. But the whole time I thought I was lost, my parents were not far off and they had been watching me. They knew where I was the whole time. You see, the next story I want to tell, we fast forward a few years and I'm now in high school. You see, when I was in high school, we used to go to the lake a lot. We used to ride the jet ski, and I loved riding the jet skis. It was awesome. And when I was in high school, I was allowed to ride it by myself, or me and my friends could go out without my parents or without my brother or sister. And I had my boater's license. I knew what to do. I knew what not to do. And I've been driving it for a few years now, but we were finally allowed to go out by ourselves. So my friend Matt and I, we headed off. We hopped on the jet ski and we were going to the island. Why did we want to go to the island, you may wonder? Because that is where the girls were. And that is where we could talk to the ladies. Or talk about talking to the ladies. Or think about talking to... See, most of them didn't want anything to do with us. And most of them were with their dads, which, terrifying. But it was a plan. And we thought it was a pretty good one. Unrealistic, but good. So we hopped on the jet ski and we headed off. Well, it's summertime in Texas, and I'm pretty sure this is a year where we broke our record of over 100 days in a row of 100-degree plus heat. And so we got about halfway there, and we hopped off, we swam around, we cooled off a little bit, splashed the jet ski seat with some water, cool it off. And we hop back on, we're like, all right, to the island. So we hop back on, and when I went to start it, click, 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 click. You see, if you know nothing about any kind of mechanics or vehicle or anything that starts, it's not a good sound. So I tried again. Click, click, click. Nothing. So I tried one more time. Y'all, it didn't even click that time. So I start to worry a little bit. I'm like, all right, no big deal. Let's lift up the seat, we'll look at the engine. So I popped it up, and sure enough, there was an engine. That's about all I knew. And so, in my experience, if it doesn't work, you turn it off and back on again. Or bang on it. So I banged on it a couple times, and that didn't do a thing except maybe hurt my hand a little bit. And so we looked left, we looked right, forwards, backwards, nothing. There is nobody around that can help tow us in. I even looked down. I don't know why I looked down as if, oh hey, SpongeBob and Patrick, can you guys help us out? There was no one around to help us. You see, it wasn't a holiday weekend, it wasn't the nicest weather of a weekend, so there weren't too many people out on the lake, especially on our part. So we're stuck in the middle of the lake. And so we're high school guys, we can do anything, right? We learned that was false later. So we hop off the jet ski and we start kicking our legs. We start swimming towards shore. Now, I got a huge lesson in geometry, math, and distances. Because we'd been driving on the jet ski for about 20 minutes, straight line to the island. But a lake on the edge is not so straight. And I learned that real hard later on. It takes a lot longer if you go around something than straight through it, right? Some of you need to pay attention in class a little more. And so, we're swimming to the edge, and we've been paddling for an hour. You see, when we started, it was 5 o'clock. We were supposed to be home for dinner by 7. Luckily, in Texas, it doesn't get dark around this time until 9 o'clock at night. We've been paddling for an hour. We're getting nowhere. The wind's not helping us. It's going the other way, but we had to get to that side because that's the side of the lake where the house was. So finally, I look at my buddy. I'm like, man, stay with the jet ski. I'll swim back. We can get one of our neighbor's boats. We'll be good. And so I swim back, and I'm like, I'll just run. I'll run to the lake house. And so I swim back, and I get to the edge, and my legs feel like jello. But I start running because my friend is stuck on a lake on a jet ski that's not his, that he can't drive, on a lake he knows nothing about. So I start running. Now, how many of you swim with shoes on? Neither did I, and I was really regretting that at this point in time. Because as I'm running, I'm going across sticks and rocks and who knows what else. Fish bones, probably. My feet were killing me. But I had to stay loyal to my friend. And I had to get help. And so I'm going through these people's backyards and through these ranches. And there's no cell service out there, and the house didn't have a landline, so calling for help wouldn't have done anything for me. I didn't know where I was, so I couldn't give anyone directions on how to help me. And the sun starts to go down, which means it's 9 o'clock, which means I'm 2 hours late. Plus, late for dinner. That's depressing. I'm very thankful that there was a full moon. Otherwise, I don't know what I would have done. But luckily, I can still see where I'm going. I can avoid the cactuses. I can avoid sharp rocks and sticks. I'm climbing up and down these rock formations trying to get back home. And I'm terrified. I think I prayed about 100 times within 1 minute. It's more than a prayer a second, which, that's a lot. I don't think it's possible, but it's a lot. And you see, just as I was about to lose all hope, I hear That's my dad. You see, when I was growing up, when I was at the ranch or in our neighborhood, anytime I would hear that whistle, it meant come home. I knew that whistle by heart, and it was my dad. And I yelled, "Dad!" And I hear a faded, "Dad." And I started sprinting towards the yell and the whistle. And finally, I see my dad across this cove. A cove is like a body, it's like a little bump on the body of water. Like a cul-de-sac for water. And I see him, I'm like, "Dad, I'll run across, just wait there." And I'm so excited, so I start going, but I'm never reaching the end of the cove. And you see, at that point of the lake, that's where a creek or a river came into it, meaning it wasn't a cove, but an inlet of water, which meant there was no way around it, and I had to go through it. So I run back, I'm like, "Dad, I think it's a river or something." He goes, "Yeah, I think you're right." He goes, "It's okay, just swim across. You've got your life jacket. I'm right here. You've got this." So I start walking through the water. I start wading through the water, and I start swimming across to my dad. And as I'm swimming and as I'm pushing the water and the sticks and the debris out of my way to get there, he's saying, "You've got this. You can do this. I believe in you. I love you. You're almost there. Halfway. You can do this. You're almost there. Keep pushing. You're there. Keep going. I love you. You can do it." And every few minutes I would yell, "I'm good. I'm okay." Just so he knew that I wasn't eaten by a giant lake monster or something. And as soon as I could stand, he ran in and grabbed me and wrapped me in a hug. You see, the whole time I was lost, trying to find my way, my dad was searching for me, trying to bring me back to him. Talk about loyalty. He was walking and running through the side, just trying to find me, trying to get me back safe. You see, I've got one more of my stories about being lost or about losing something, and this one is about losing something. It's not about me getting lost, although there are plenty of those, especially in like supermarkets and grocery stores, strangers' houses. This one's about me losing something. It's something kind of important. It's about me losing my wallet. You see, one day I got back to my apartment. I'm now in college. I got back to my apartment and I set my wallet on somewhere, thinking I don't need this right now. I'll pick it up when I need it. Now, how many of you have ever lost something? Those of you who are not raising your hand, you are lying to yourself and to me. Everyone's lost something at some point, whether it's a toy, a stuffed animal, your favorite blanket, a pacifier when you were a child that you don't remember, probably why some of you didn't raise your hand. We've all lost something. This one was rather important to me because, I needed to buy things and drive. Well, I realized I lost it when I was on the phone with one of my favorite people at that time, the pizza guy. Saw a few head nods back there, a couple yeses. Yeah, I was on the phone with the pizza guy. It's a pretty important time to have your wallet because it came time to pay and give him my card number and I couldn't find it. And I had to do one of the worst things possible at that time. I had to hang up on the pizza guy. It broke my heart at the time. And so I'm looking all around my apartment for my wallet. I'm flipping couch cushions, digging through clean clothes, dirty clothes, throwing everything anywhere, making my room more of a mess than it already was. I couldn't find it. I even looked in the refrigerator. It was nowhere to be found. I finally found it the next day. It was on my desk, covered up with random junk. Trash, empty wrappers, soda cans, papers, school papers, books. Okay, books maybe not be junk, but random junk at the time was covering up something extremely important that I needed. You see, one of my favorite stories in the Bible is the parable of the lost sheep. For those of you that don't know what parable is, it's the story. It's a story told by Jesus. And it's in Luke 15. And it says, "Now the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to Jesus. And the Pharisees and the scribes grumbled, saying, 'This man receives sinners and eats with them.'" He hangs out with bad people. And so Jesus told them this parable. He told them the story. He said, "What person of you, having 100 sheep, if they lose just one of them, does not leave the other 99 in the open field to go look for the one? And when they find it, they throw it on their shoulders, rejoicing. And when they return home, they invite their friends, their families, their neighbors, saying, 'Come rejoice with me, for I have found my lost sheep.' The sheep that was lost has been found." He says, "So I say to you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous people who think they don't need to." You see, we've got the most loyal Father of all time. Just like my parents, when I was at the amusement park, my mom and my dad, when they knew where I was the whole time, Jesus always knows where we are. You see, there's been plenty of times in my life where I've been lost, and not all of them were physically lost. There's been times where I felt like I lost Jesus. Times where I felt like I lost my faith because I set it down thinking, "I don't need this right now," and it got covered with junk. Times where I've been spiritually lost. And just like my parents at the amusement park, we have a God that has his eyes on us the whole time. He is loyal to us. Just like my dad when I was at the lake, we've got a God that is always calling out to us, doing everything he can to bring us back to him, no matter how lost we think we are. Just like my wallet, when I covered it up with random junk, set it down thinking I don't need it right now, maybe we set down our faith. We set down our love for Jesus thinking, "I don't need this right now, I'll come get it when I do." And it gets covered with random junk. Not trash or candy wrappers or papers. Oh, sin. Bullying, cheating, lying. Not sharing your favorite toy with someone. Not inviting someone to come play with you at recess. Gossiping about someone else. Falling in with the wrong people in the wrong crowd. Whatever the sin is, it's junk. And we cover up our love with Jesus from it sometimes. The most loyal person out there. Y'all, he died on the cross for us. If that's not loyalty, I don't know what is. I want to read this again, but I'm not going to read it exactly. I'm going to change up some things, paraphrase a little bit. So Jesus told him a story. He said, "What person of you, having 100 sheep, having 100 people, does not leave the 99 to go find the one that is lost?" Just one of you. If one of you gets lost, Jesus will find you. And when that one is found, when just one of you finds your way back to Jesus, finds your love for Jesus, picks your faith back up, owns it, does not pick you up, wrap you in love, and rejoice. And God doesn't just do this for him, he does it for everybody. There is rejoicing for everyone, friends, family, neighbors, when one person who is lost is found. It's just one of you. God is filled with joy for just one of you that finds or shows their love for Jesus or grows in their faith. That's loyalty, y'all. That is loyalty.